Hi, friends. Hello, the world. Welcome back to this episode of Tools for Transitioning Humanitarians. And here is the topic that I really wanted to cover today in a very short podcast episode because I think I will manage to make it as concise as possible, in as potent as possible, because that's something that I see so many of us humanitarians doing, and we need to really find ways to stop that. And that topic is sophisticated distraction. Now, you heard me talk about excuses in so many different ways, right? But it's similar, but also different. And I wanted to show you how that is and how I see like detecting in my clients' conversation sessions or their behaviors. I see this happening so often, and I really wanted to bring your awareness to it and also what to do with it in case that's you. So, excuses are basically things that get us away from what we want by distracting ourselves with things that don't really bring us closer to our goals, right? But I also see another very subtle but different version of it, which is a very sophisticated way of our brains convincing us, giving us such logically sounding reasons why we cannot do the main thing that actually gets us to where we want to go. We keep doing so many different small things around it, but we don't do the actual main thing that gets us to what we want. And I will give you an example so that you can see exactly what I'm talking about. I want to give you actually maybe two examples because one is at work and you can immediately relate to this, I'm sure. And then I will give you a personal example from another client and you can see that as well. So the work example that I think many of us know is that when, for instance, let's say that the people we serve, right, the people who've been affected by war, by conflict, by human-made disasters, catastrophes, when we are in that setting and assisting them, many of the time we know what could be the direct, fast, clear solution to the problem, at least in the short term. And then, of course, we can always work on the systemic issues, but that's not the humanitarian job anyway. We know it. So that's why, in terms of the direct assistance, direct solution of the problem, let's say, for instance, people needing money to recover their livelihood, right? Or let's say that people needing to recover their houses, right? This is a direct way to solve something, a very clear, no I don't know, vagueness or ambiguity as to how to do that. There is a house destroyed and there is an assistance and money or tools, whatever is needed to get them fixed and end of story. This could be a very straightforward solution. Sometimes we do that, but sometimes we end up treating like very straightforward problems this very complicated, very like around the bush detour type of assistance. Or we believe that, oh, they need training on this. We believe that they need something else on this. They need a discussion, whatever it is. We like keep adding lots of um, like steps between our assistance and them getting assistance. We add a lot of things that actually are not necessary, or sometimes they just delay things. They just even create obstacles for us or create in like disbelief or non-credibility in people who are expecting our assistance because they just feel like, oh, I don't know what you're talking about, but we need XYZ, like one, two, three things. And if you can't provide this to us, then we're gonna look for somewhere else, right? Justifiably so. So that's why, you know what I mean? Where at work, I think we see this so often that we feel like we all know what the solution is and how it can be done very fast in the more concise, more effective way, but we don't do it because of many other circumstances around us, of course, but also because we believe that the solution is not that, but something else. And then we start keeping like lots of discussions around it, lots of meetings around it. And then some of us who are very like straightforward people are like, oh, can't we just give this thing and then we're done with it, right? That's when I think is like a sophisticated distraction, meaning that we know what the solution actually is. We know how and what could actually solve it in that moment. But instead of doing it because we fear or because we think it shouldn't be this way, because we believe that there should be other things because of da, and then we just add lots of steps, lots of like convoluted complications in between what we want to do and what they're expecting us to do. And then we just lose motivation. We keep doing things, but we feel like it doesn't really make sense. We could have just done this way, and then we're so disappointed. All of this happened, right? This is what we probably know from work. Now, when it comes to our personal lives, some of the times that's also what we do, I realized, and we just don't recognize it oftentimes, or we recognize it very late because we feel like so the way that I have seen work out in two of my clients actually recently, and then I was also thinking in my own life that I was also doing in one particular part of my life. But what I'm noticing is that what happens when, like, one of my clients was saying that she was telling me that she has this goal of finishing her job where she's working now. She wants to transition to Stanford because she wants to go to the executive MBA because she has a finance background. So she wants to go to an executive MBA and later work maybe in the private sector because in the NGO sector where she is not really fulfilling. She feels like she outgrew this environment, right? So we have her know what the goal is, right? In the beginning, she was not sure, but then she said, this is really what I want to do because this idea, like wanting to do this thing keep coming up. Okay, fine. Now, what we noticed working together, like for some month, we noticed that she knows what she wants. She knows also what needs to be done to get there. She knows how much it costs. She knows that she doesn't have all the money, so she needs to start working on creating the money and all of these things, right? She knows what the actual steps are to get there. She needs to do certain exams and she needs to get ready for those exams and all of this stuff. Now, instead of doing that, though, she keeps doing many, many other things, but not the actual thing. Do you see what I'm saying? So that I think is like a sophisticated distraction. And the reason why I call it a sophisticated distraction is because our brains believe that that's a very logical thing to keep doing some small things around the thing that we actually want, but not going to the actual thing that we want to, right? We're not taking the actual steps that we know what they are. We're not taking them because we are afraid that it will not work out, or we're afraid we'll be disappointed, or we're afraid that we may lose our resources. And ironically, then we keep losing our resources by just doing all the other things around it without never getting to the point. Do you see what I'm saying? Uh, sorry, my I was eating some berries, so my cheese is a bit like berry looking. Apologize. So now that we know that when sophisticated distractions happen, what they really are like so good at is they keep telling us that we are working on the goal that we want to, right? We're convinced, in fact, that we're working on the goal that we want to. We our brains also convince us that all the things that we're taking now will lead to that goal eventually, but it's actually just a delaying tactic. It's just a delaying, prolonging the time period for us not to be disappointed, for us not to be hurt, for us not to be going through all the difficulty. It's in fact, I would argue, like our brain's sophisticated way of protecting us from harm, because our brain thinks that going to Stanford is harmful, right? Or like going through a date is harmful because who knows what will happen there. So therefore, like we tell ourselves, yes, I'm working on the goal, right? With the another client that I was giving an example yesterday in the live session that I did for Transitioning Humanitarians, where I was also saying that my another client of mine, she wants to date someone, right? She hasn't been in the dating scene for 20 years, so she feels like it's a lot challenging, and I totally understand that it's very challenging, it's very uncomfortable, it's like it feels like so something so new to do. I can feel that, or I can at least relate to that in so many ways. However, that's not the reason not to do the actual things, because her brain was sophisticatedly distracting her by saying that, oh, we need now this skill so that we can go on a date. We need now this skill so we can go on a date, right? So our brains do that, and they will all sound very logical. They will all sound very like convincing. Or another of my clients saying that, oh, I don't really believe that this works, even though like millions of people are doing this thing, but I don't believe that it works, but I keep working towards it. It's just I don't think it will work, right? You see what I'm saying? So that's why I really want you to be able to recognize for yourself what are those sophisticated distractions that are not getting you where you want to. Because no matter what we're going to do around that thing, as long as we don't do the actual thing, we will not get to that thing. As as logical as it sounds, or as simple as it sounds, I should say. But that is the truth, right? So imagine that if our goal is dating someone, but we're not dating the actual person, but rather keep around, oh, I need to get ready for this one, and then get ready for this one and this one, then we will not actually date someone because we're just in our own head trying to solve all the possible problems that could come up. But it's a bit like swimming, like learning to swim without the swimming pool. We can't do that, right? We can't learn swim without the swimming pool. We need to be in the water to learn it. So that's why I want you to recognize how you do it. Now, the way you can recognize it this way, you make a very simple flip chart for yourself, or whatever the scheme, it doesn't matter, or list, whatever it is, right? So you write down. Now, let's see, this is the goal. Let's say, like, very get concrete, right? The goal is, I don't know, X amount of money. The goal is attending Stanford. Goal is going back to university, or going back home, or goal is to date someone. The goal is to feel whichever the way you want to feel. This is the goal. You can also give yourself a deadline. That would be amazing, but if not, no problem. Let's say this is a goal, right? Now write down all the steps, concrete steps that you think will get you there. We all usually know what that is like. There's like no lying here. We usually, humans, are very smart people to know what the goal, if we know what the goal is, we know what the steps are to get there. So write down, for instance, let's say the goal is for you to date now, right? Now, in order to date someone, you need to probably know who you're looking for. You need to probably know where they hang out, or you need to probably know how to get in touch with people like the ones that you are wanting today, right? At least 3, 4 steps, and then actually going there and actually meeting that person, right? So 3, 4, 5 steps max probably is to arrange a date. Now, when you write down that list of what the goal is and then what the steps to get there, Your brain will, of course, come up with lots of sophisticated ways of how that's difficult, how that's impossible, how that's not what we should be doing, how that's something that we should be doing after we have done XYZ other things. When that happens, you uncover all of your sophisticated distractions that your brain tries to do in order to save you from feeling uncomfortable. And that's very normal as well. It's not something to be afraid of because we all have it. I have it like on daily basis. My brain rather wants me to watch all the YouTube videos as to how motivated and all the other things or how other people are doing amazing things, except me doing that thing. So when we have detected this way, all the distractions, all the other ways that your brain wants you to think about, because the key here is to recognize that your brain will not be saying let's not do it, and your brain probably will even say yes, let's do it, but let's do it after XYZ. And those XYZs, we need to either get rid of it or we need to keep working on them, but after having done the essential steps that we need to do, after that, we can work on all the other things, but not before. Now, when you find all of this sophisticated reasons for not doing the immediate thing that actually gets us there, right? So, for instance, let's go back to the example of dating, right? So, usually my clients say things like, okay, I probably need to, I have no choice but to do it online. Fine. Let's meet online. Okay. You choose one app, whatever it is, right? So fine. After lots of drama and around this, you choose an app. Okay. You fulfill the requirement of that app, meaning that you register and you put your photo and you just put your description. Now, in those phases, your brain will again say, well, should it be this way or should it be that way? Or maybe we should learn how to say things, or maybe this is not the photo that's attractive. And all of this, like, objections or reasons for delaying it will come up, and that's normal. But that's not the reason not to do it, right? So when you have all of this, then you put the picture in the description, and then you start chatting with people, and then you start arranging a date, and then you start going on it. And in all of this, your brain will also say things like, you're not confident enough, you're not this enough, you're not that enough, you're not whatever the enough. These are the sophisticated distractions that will get you away from your goal. I'm not saying that you shouldn't work on them. Absolutely, please do work on them. But you can also continue working on them while doing the actual things that get you to your goal. Because if we're not going to be onto ourselves, and if we don't catch ourselves in our own sophisticatedly distracted mind, then we may never get to where we want to, because the things that we need to work on will be endless. But what if we can say, what if the minimum enough that I already have, that I can start doing something? What if I don't need to have a perfect confidence level or perfect whatever level, or whatever else that you feel like that needs to be in a high level or somewhere? What if that's not necessary? What if it's enough just to have the genuine desire to go and do the thing, and you start taking the actual steps to getting there that gets you closer there? Now, when you start going through that list and then you get disappointed, you get refused, or you get rejected, whatever the thing that happens, which may happen in any of our goal pursuits, that's another place where you can look for sophisticated distraction. They are there too. Now, the way that you see that is where your brain will be saying, like, well, you knew that it wouldn't work. Why would you want to do that again? This will happen again. What are you going to do then? And all of these things. In those moments, you can again ask yourself, what's the alternative? So if we keep distracting ourselves with our very sophisticated reasoning as to why we shouldn't be doing directly or straightforward, then what's the alternative? We keep going in the circles. We keep going in the doing little smaller things and around it, but never actually doing the actual thing. Because think about this, on the other side is the life that we're wanting to live, is the connections that we're wanting to build, the families that we want to build, the life we want to live. The more we delay it, the more we will not live the life that we want to. The more we delay it, the more we will create more an anxiety or fear or all this ideas in our head as to how it will not immediately work or it will take ages or whatever, and then we just create more reasons to delay. And that's not what we want, right? We want the actual thing. We want the date. We want the family. We want the money. We want the freedom, whatever the other thing that we're wanting. We want that. The more we delay it with our sophisticated distractions, the more we actually not studying in Stanford. We're not actually having children, or we're not actually having dates, or we're not actually building relationship. And that's a life we're not living. Now use that at least as a pulling factor, as a driving factor for you to say, the more you don't do the actual thing, the more you delay living what you want to live. The way I say it to myself is that the more I bullshit myself, the more I actually don't live the thing that I want, or get the things that I want, and the more I suffer from my own bullshit. And I don't want to do that. I have done it for so many years. I have done, like, I don't know, I listen to all my thoughts about how I should be doing this and I should be doing that, and then being everywhere, and then in the end nowhere. So that's why I think if we want to save time, if we want to save energy, if we want to get to our goals as systematically or as smoothly or as um, straightforward as possible, we need to do the things that we don't want to do. That's it. We need to do the things that we do not want to do in that moment, because our brains are so good at distracting, so good at coming up with sophisticated reasons why all the other things need to be done first before getting to the actual thing. It's also an excuse. It's just that it doesn't present it as an excuse. It presents it as, yes, of course, we're working on this goal. We're working on that outcome. We're working on it. And then we just get into this mode of we keep working on things, or we keep trying, but not really committedly working towards it and getting some outcomes and analyzing or evaluating to see if we're going in the right track or not. If not, shall we change to other actions, or shall we change other steps? And then that's what we're not doing. And that's what I suggest you all do, because I think our desires, our dreams are worth so much for us to be doing exactly that work, because they're waiting on the other side of that work. And that's what I invite you to do, is to come coach with me so that we can get removing all of your sophisticated distractions and getting you actually do the things, the first and second, third, fourth, fifth steps that actually gets you to where you want to go. Okay, my dears. Have a beautiful weekend, and I will speak to you very soon.